Penguin Random House Audio presents A Beginner's Guide to America for the Immigrant and the Curious. This is the author, Roya Hakakian. In memory of my father, the first Hakakian to write, the last Hakakian to arrive in America. So Odysseus, with tact, said, "Do not be enraged at me, great goddess. You are right. I know my modest wife, Penelope, could never match your beauty. She is human. You are deathless, ageless. But even so, I want to go back home." Homer, The Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson. I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. James Baldwin, Notes of a Native Son. I'd better get right down to the job. It's true, I don't want to join the army or turn lathes in precision parts factories. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I'm putting my queer shoulder to the wheel. Allen Ginsberg, America. Prologue. In August 1984, I fled my beloved homeland, Iran. After many months of wandering through Europe as a refugee, I was finally admitted into the United States. What I say in this audiobook is what no one told me when I first arrived, when all I heard was about practicalities and nothing about how to understand or cope with the whirlwind of emotions that had swept me up and in whose eye I remained for a long time. Everyone was trying to help me get on with my new life, all the while I was under the sad spell of the old. No two immigrants are the same. Therefore, no two arrival experiences are the same. Yet, even as immigrant groups are divided based on their strengths or shortcomings, successes or failures in America, they have far more in common as members of an uprooted community trying to make their way in the unfamiliar land. This audiobook is, in part, about all that bonds them. Immigrants are not interchangeable, and yet, just as there are common human experiences, there are also common immigrant experiences. Scholars, for their own scientific purposes, and politicians, for their own partisan purposes, often focus on immigrants as distinctly separate groups to measure their value to or their burden on the nation, to debate which one should be allowed in and which one should be banned altogether. In truth, all that separates one group from another often pales against the common drama of displacement and the ordeal of resettlement. Speaking of that drama is one way of warding off those who wish to reduce the shared narrative of that odyssey to a series of disjointed entries in the Encyclopedia of Arrival. In offering the newcomer's perspective, this audiobook will inevitably cast a fresh look at America, rethinking and presenting her to all listeners through the weathered perspective of a naturalized citizen. Perhaps those who have been born and raised here and assume that their mere birth either endows them with the knowledge of America or exempts them from exploring and discovering her, can see her anew through the eyes of others who dream of becoming Americans. Much of what follows is the story of my own life and the lives of people I love or have tried to help in a personal or professional capacity. If there is an attempt, it is at inclusivity, at trying to weave in as many immigrant experiences as would fit the confines of this recording. In the end, I was left with an unusual composition made up of my own recollections and those of my fellow immigrants, as told in memoirs, autobiographies, personal testimonies, and other thoughtful and provocative writings on the subject. The result is part memoir, part reportage, and part a work of imagination. True to the nature of displacement, this audiobook has elements of all these genres, but ultimately belongs to none of them. My greatest hope has been to give an unmediated access to a narrative that has become disfigured by overzealous emissaries on both sides of the political debate. I have lived through war and a violent revolution. I have been persecuted for my religion, gender, and beliefs too. What I hope all these experiences bring to this book is a measure of authenticity. Authenticity is not all an immigrant needs, but it is a good place to begin a new conversation or a new book. October 2020. Part 1. 1. Upon arrival in America the Beautiful. A newcomer can do much to teach himself, especially if he is not afraid of being called a greenhorn. Marion Shipsby, Handbook for Immigrants to the United States. Foreign Language Information Service, 1927. The long-awaited day is here. You're almost in America. Up in the sky, you press your forehead against the glass and look down. There you see her for the first time. If you're arriving at night, America the jewel shimmers beneath. If in daytime, you see the outlines of her riches, the green of her lush woods, the blue of her Leviathan waters. Until then, you had only felt exhaustion and sleeplessness. But all that vanished at the first glimpse of the ground. Now there is only fear and excitement coursing through you. It has been a long time since you've been welcomed anywhere. Tears of dread, sadness, or gratitude, you cannot be sure, blur your view of the forms you must fill out before landing. If you come from a country of compulsory dress codes, veils, scarves, or niqabs, you might shed the layers now, but remember that soon customs officers will glance at the photograph in your passport and then at you standing before them to reconcile the two versions of you. This is the first of many masks you will shed in the years to come. From the moment you step off the plane, your eyes will search for the traces of Americanness in your surroundings. Yet the sun is the same sun. The asphalt looks just as black. The jetway gives the same groan all other jetways give underfoot. The transit corridors lit with fluorescent lights stretch as menacingly as all passageways you've gone through. Only when you stand in line, one hand clutching a bag, another on the handle of a suitcase, and your eyes begin to rove about, will you see something you have only seen at a tourist destination before. Pinned on the flap of the chest pockets of the officers guiding everyone are name tags. Sanchez, McWilliams, Cho, Alhamed, and by God, all of them Americans. If jet lag has not clouded your senses, you will instantly recognize this to be the surest sign of America. In the monochrome life you just left behind, such a motley human landscape would have been unthinkable. First inspections. At the reception hall of the terminal, there will be lots of activity and great, exhausted crowds will team about you. But there will be none of the alarming chaos that had come with the crowds of the past. When it is your turn in line, you will be called to a booth. There are more forms to fill out. You will present your pleasantest self through the glass while
Sample complete. Ready to continue?